Woke is just a slang term for a modern ideology that lots of people subscribe to these days called identity politics. Identity politics is the idea that people are to be identified primarily with their race, gender or sexuality, and that certain groups are oppressed by other certain groups along those lines, and that this injustice must be corrected by government or state intervention and ultimately force. It's a left-wing ideology with a very clear traceable lineage back to Marxism. Marx believed that the working class in capitalist societies was oppressed by the ruling class, and that one day the working class would wake up to this fact and rise up, and there'd be a revolution and a better new world would just instantly emerge. But it didn't happen in most places, especially not capitalist liberal democracies. It turns out Marx was completely wrong, and those countries actually prospered and actually made everyone richer. So the beloved revolution never happened. It did happen in a few places, but they were having revolutions against corrupt monarchies, not liberal democracies. And where the revolutionary governments tried to implement Marxist ideas, like China under Mao and the Soviet Union under Stalin, well, the government just turned on its people in a mad enforcement of political correctness and murdered tens of millions of their own citizens. So this stuff is kind of serious and important, and we can't afford to forget the lessons of the past. So woke is just a slang term meaning Marxist-style identity politics. That's all it is. Some of you may have also heard of critical race theory, which emerged from US law schools, or extreme forms of feminist theory driving the myth of the patriarchy, or modern gender theory. Well, you can kind of lump all these ideas together and make a pretty hearty woke soup. Now, all of this would be perfectly fine and dandy if it wasn't bleeding its way into our culture so strongly. It's okay to stand up against actual racism, of course, actual sexism or actual intolerance of people of different sexual persuasions, but the woke left attach themselves to these nice causes and they use them to force more extreme kinds of change, like accepting 50-year-old men dressed as women dancing sexually in front of kids while reading them storybooks, or like insisting every single workplace have exactly the right number of people of every shade of skin colour in exactly the right proportion so that the best people for the job are no longer getting the job based on merit. And then attacking and destroying the reputation of anyone who dares to stand up to that by calling them sexist or racist or transphobic.